Hey guys, Zog here, and today I have a special video for you guys. We're going to be looking at Marvel Rivals. This is actually my first Marvel Rivals type of related content on the channel here. And what I kind of wanted to do here actually is I kind of wanted to make a special video for people who are on console and either they're just getting into Marvel Rivals or they're unsure or they've heard about the game. Maybe their friend told them about them or something. And obviously you want to play it on console with them and just stuff like that, just kind of beginner things that would definitely help you guys just getting into the game. So if you happen to be in any of those situations, then definitely watch this video through because it's going to cover a lot of the basic things about the game, what kind of style of game it is, how you should play it, what kind of heroes you should try to main or get good with, and just a bunch of things like that, and also a bunch of other side things that I'll mention in the video. So now that we got that covered, the first thing I think I want to mention here is that as you play the game, you'll get rewards. And obviously, I like games that are very rewarding. As you play the game, you actually get this currency up here, which is called units. And this currency right here actually allows you to buy certain skins, which is actually really, really nice. So let's just say if we look at Adam Warlock here, one of the healers we'll take a look at in a little bit. You're actually able to where is it? Oh yeah, costumes right here. You're actually able to say if you liked. I think this skin's pretty cool. That one's from the battle pass, so it doesn't matter. But say you like this skin right here a lot. So you skip the animation. You could actually, I could almost already afford this. It's only 600 units. Of course, you could buy the units with real, money and stuff like that. But you actually get these units through playing the game, which is something that I really, really like. Because a lot of other games, they'll kind of make you pay for skins without, providing you currency by just playing the game. So I really like that you could, buy skins over time as you play the game with, say if you really do like Adam Warlock, you'll be able to buy the skin in pretty much no time if you play the game a lot. So that's just one thing I wanted to get off the way is that you get these units and stuff like that for the first type of rewards. But the other reward I want to talk about is you get these things, chrono tokens. And of course, you get these, by completing the game and stuff like that, or I'm not completing the game, but playing the game and stuff like that. And obviously, this is the battle pass right here. And using these chrono tokens, you're able to kind of buy each little slot in the area right here. Of course, you could buy the battle pass and you get like these luxury rewards. So you get a bunch more cool stuff. So say if you like Moon Knight, you get a cool skin with him, kind of off rip in the battle pass. But if you guys just don't have the battle pass or you didn't buy it, you're still able to get cool things like nameplates, sprays, emotes, and stuff of that nature. This is actually a free skin that they provide here. But another thing I will mention is that this thing right here, you actually need to unlock a certain amount of chrono tokens at some point before you're actually able to unlock the page and start spending your chrono tokens right here. So you see I need 220 more chrono tokens to actually, first to be able to buy these things right here. It's kind of confusing, but that's kind of my best way to describe it. And the way you get these chrono tokens is obviously through playing the games, like I said. But the way you claim them is coming here in the missions. Just claim all these things right here. And if you claimed all that, then come to right here, and they'll kind of be like, it's not, I don't have anything right here, but there'll be like little exclamation points in the corners of these things. And you just want to come in here, of course, claim all these rewards. You get some chrono tokens. Like I haven't done this one. You see you get some units with that. So that's very good. And just, yeah, I completed a bunch of those so far. Let's look at each of these chapters. You get some rewards here as well. You actually get a really cool Thor skin at the end for completing some of this stuff. And then, of course, you flip to the other side by pressing X, at least for me on console or for Xbox. And yeah, and that's how you claim a lot of the rewards. And the other way to claim the rewards, I think this is, besides that, this is the only other way to claim rewards here. You want to go to your top right corner, like I just showed, and go to Achievements. And then right here, you'll just, click on whatever tab you are, and then just press Claim All on the bottom here. And then after you've claimed a bunch of stuff for a while, this present box, you'll be able to claim some more rewards from that as well. So that's kind of how you claim all the rewards, because, oh, I have a reward right here, actually. So, yeah, there we go. So, yeah, that's kind of the way you claim all your rewards, because at first for me, it was actually pretty confusing. I was like, how do I claim all these rewards? Because it seems like they give out a bunch of stuff after you complete the games. You'll see it pop up and all that good stuff. So now that we've got the rewards covered, I want to talk about kind of how to play the game, what you should focus on when you're first starting off, and all that kind of stuff, and what kind of heroes you should focus on the most rather than others. And at the time of this video, of course, it's I guess Season 1. I know that there was a season 0, but I think that was like for the beta. Maybe I don't know. I didn't play it, but there's currently 76 days left in the season 1. So chances are you guys are catching this video hopefully earlier on, so you guys could use these units or in regard with how good I say they are, basically, without there being any new patches and stuff like that. But now that we know that, we're gonna get into it here. So yeah, each of these heroes, or there's actually 3 classes of heroes in the game. So there's basically a duelist, or DPS, I like to call it for short. There is a tank, or the Vanguard they call it in the game, and then there's the strategist, or basically the healer. I would say you guys need to at least learn one, definitely mandatory one of each of these classes, and preferably 2 of each of these classes, because say if your team has 1 healer, and usually there's 2 healers on a team, 2 DPS and 2 Vanguard. Sometimes there's different compositions, but generally that's what you want to go for when you're selecting your characters for a match, is 2 DPS, 2 healers, 2 tanks. And the reason why you want to try to get good with 2 healers, 2 tanks, and 2 DPS that you're more familiar with is that obviously if someone picks your guy, your healer that you want to go, and then you need to be the healer for the team, everyone's already selected their guys, and you only know the healer that the other guy is playing, then you're kind of shit out of luck for trying to have a good chance to win that game if you're not familiar with that healer yet. So that's why I would say definitely get familiar with at least 2 tanks, 2 Vanguards, 2 duelists or DPS, and 2 healers as well. So we're gonna look at some of these characters right now. I'm not gonna look too much into what they do, because that video would just take so long. I'm kind of just gonna stay in this page, talk about each of them, and say kind of how good they are, maybe give them a rating, and all that kind of stuff. So first off, right up here we have Adam Warlock. Adam Warlock's actually pretty good. He's a healer. He's pretty cool looking. He has like this special ability, Eternal Bond, and I think it like revives people or something like that. So I would say he's like a B or maybe an A tier healer. Another thing that I should note is a lot of these characters are very, very balanced. There's no kind of one character that's better than all the rest, or a few characters that are better on the rest. Obviously, like certain characters are better than others, but overall, most of these characters are pretty generally well balanced. So just throwing that out there as well. But yeah, Adam Warlock, solid healer. I give him like an 8 out of 10. Some of these characters I've used more than others, so I could kind of vouch for them more. But yeah, Adam Warlock is really, really good. Black Panther, he's solid. I don't really see him used too much. He's a DPS obviously, or a duelist. All the duelist characters, just by the way, have lower health. Same with the healers, and obviously the tanks. They have a lot more health, and they're kind of just on the front lines doing the damage most of the time, and also receiving the damage. But Black Panther is pretty solid. Yeah, like I said, I don't really see him too much. I'd probably give him like a 6.5 out of 10 on how good he is, but I just don't really see him too much. And he seems that maybe like even like Wolverine or maybe like Iron Fist might be better than him as a duelist. But I mean, whatever floats your boat. If you try out Black Panther and you like him, then whatever suits you. Black Widow, she's pretty solid. Like I said before, like Black Panther, she's not really used as much as Black Panther. I mean, she's not really used in general as much as the other characters. But when you do see her, she can do a lot of damage. So she's okay. I would say her like main ultimate is like she literally goes first person with a sniper. So if you guys play like a lot of FPS games, maybe try her out. But yeah. Next we have Bruce Banner, or AKA Hulk. Now he's going to be our first tank that we're going to talk about. He is very good at pushing the front and staying in the fight, and constantly just kind of staying around say if you're just playing the objective where you kind of escort the cart, kind of like in Overwatch, if you guys have played that. So he's kind of really good at playing that role, like moving around, just kind of delaying the enemy team from advancing, because if you have good healers, at least you're just constantly healing Hulk. If they get close to you, you're able to just hit him a bunch of times. He has his own shield. He's got this big clap, the Hulk clap, that does some damage, kind of short to medium range. So he's overall pretty solid. And then his ultimate, he gets into an even bigger like Hulk version. It's actually pretty crazy. That version actually it's not like the best ultimate in the game, because it only lasts for, well, I don't think there's a time limit. There might be a time limit, but it lasts basically until you die, and you get the most health in the game. But you have your regular attacks except for the shield, I believe. Your clap does a lot of damage, more damage now, and you're able to like just kind of throw people in the air. And that's the kind of the main thing is that you're kind of delaying the enemy team. Like you might not get a lot of kills with it, but you're kind of throwing people up into the air with your strikes. And then you also have your grab ability. So say if you hit someone with your regular attack and then it lifts them up in the sky. Quickly, if you're able to do it, you could press down on both joysticks for console, and you'll be able to like have this whole animation where you grab them and slam them on the ground and all that good stuff. So overall, I would say Hulk is pretty solid. I'd probably give him like a B plus tier, but that's just my opinion. Next up, we got Captain America. He's another tank. He's very good too. He's kind of a little bit less health than Hulk. He's kind of more jumpy, more aerial attacks. He also throws his shield out, so he's a little bit more range. So I would say generally Captain America is kind of the best of both worlds for certain tanks in the game. So I would say overall he's pretty solid. I'd probably give him a B rating. But then again, obviously you guys could try out these characters, see how you feel with them. But next up, we got Cloak and Dagger. This is actually one of my most, if not my most played unit or character in the game. They're mainly a healer with this girl right here, but then this guy up here is actually like a DPS. So it's very, very interesting. You're able to like switch in and out of them very, very quickly. So for her healing, it's just kind of like your regular attack that you also damage your opponents with. If you just shoot at your teammates, you actually heal them as well. So she's very good. She also has this little shield bubble. It's not a shield, but it's like a little bubble on the ground that'll heal your teammates and yourself. And then when you switch into this guy, he has like a really fast automatic attack. And then he also has a wave that he pushes out that kind of blinds your opponents for a little bit. So overall, she's a really, really good unit. If you're very skilled and you just play a lot of games in general, I would recommend them. I mean, they're really good, especially because they could dish out a lot of damage with this guy if you need to. Say if your guys are winning the fights generally, then you can go into Dagger, basically, this guy back here, and do a bunch more damage. And then if you guys are taking a lot of damage, then obviously stay as Cloak and just heal your teammates. So overall, and she also has like a wave that she pushes out that heals teammates as well. So overall, very, very good unit. I'd probably give it an A tier. So yeah, very, very solid healer and DPS unit right there. But mainly a healer, of course. And then next up, we got Doctor Strange. Now, I've used a little bit of Doctor Strange, not a whole bunch, but you do actually see him used quite a bit. Doctor Strange is pretty solid. He's kind of like Hulk, where he kind of delays the enemy team, or if you're pushing the cart, he kind of stops any range attacks from attacking the team. He's got like the best shield in the game. He puts up this big ass shield, basically, that has like a bunch of health on it. He could also kind of fly up and down, and he also has this really other special move. He's got like a portal that he could put down, and then he puts the other part of the portal somewhere else, so that if you go through the first one, you come out the second portal. And that could actually be used very, very interestingly, let's just say, in ranked. There's a bunch of clips I've seen where people are doing crazy shit with Doctor Strange portals. But overall, I haven't tried him too much. But he is very solid from what I've seen. So from what I've seen, I'd probably give him a B+. So yeah, Doctor Strange is another great tank that I would use. Another tank right here, we got Groot. Groot's pretty solid. One of his kind of main things is that he puts up walls that kind of delayed the enemy team. Then he has like these, his range attacks are like these huge branches that fly out. I forgot what his ult is. I think it like stuns a bunch of people. Coming back to Doctor Strange, I believe Doctor Strange's, oh yeah, the Eye of Agamotto. How could I forget? That basically like freezes all the people that you're near, I think, or something like that, for like a good like 4 or 5 seconds. So you could basically wipe out a team with Doctor Strange's ult. And kind of same thing with Groot. I don't think his ult's as good as Doctor Strange, but Groot's really good at putting the walls down, delaying the enemy team, and yeah. And so next up, we got Hawkeye. He's a duelist or a DPS. I wouldn't recommend him to like 95% or maybe even more percent of players, just because he's one of those characters that if you're very, very skillful and very accurate, then you might be really good with him. But if you're not, and you're more of a casual player or something like that, then I would kind of stay away from him. His bow does a lot of damage. Like you could probably 2-shot headshot Hulk with his arrows, but that's of course if you hit them, and it's very, very hard to hit. It's not like hit scan or anything like that, so it does have a little bit of delay before your shot reaches your target. But still, I'd actually recommend them. His ult's pretty solid. Overall, I think Hawkeye's he's not used a lot, but he is decently well, especially if you have a good Hawkeye player. Your team can dish out a lot of damage, and he can just wipe out certain weaker units that are in the other team pretty fastly. So I would say he's more of like a B rating, but that could go up or down depending on how good your Hawkeye is on your team, basically. Next up, we got Hela. My friend actually plays him quite a lot. She is very, very good. Her ultimate does a lot of damage. You're kind of a little weak during her ultimate because people could still hit you, but you kind of fly above your opponents and send down these huge things and just deals a bunch of damage. And overall, her kit or her main abilities are very solid. She has like these spears that she throws out, and she just dishes out a lot of damage, and it's a lot easier to hit compared to like Hawkeye and stuff like that. So overall, I would actually recommend Hela if you guys are trying to try a DPS out. She's very, very solid as long as you hit your shots and all that good stuff. Next up is Invisible Woman, and she might be my favorite character currently right now. I use a lot of Cloak and Dagger. I kind of like the healer units the most a lot because I feel like I could help my teammates a lot with them. But Invisible Woman is very, very strong just because she's able to not only heal your teammates, but she's able to really push the enemy team out and also kind of suck them in. It sounds weird that, that's like that would be a good thing to do. You don't want your enemy team right on top of you, but for certain situations, it's very good. Just like Cloak and Dagger, she has like this like little bubble that she could put down, but it doesn't heal your teammates. It actually damages other teammates like over time, like pretty quickly. Like you'll get a bunch of hit markers, and she has this push inward or push outward, or yeah, push outward, push inward thing. And say if you put that bubble down, it does a bunch of damage, and you push them into it, and then you're shooting your regular attacks, and your teammates in front of you. You're going to be also healing the teammate, and your thing is also going to be hitting the enemy on the other side while they're in the bubble. So you can see how it kind of works there. And our ultimate is very, very good. It has like basically a bunch of healing in a certain area wherever you put it down, and also makes your teammates invisible, and also slows down any enemies that are in it. So she is a very, very good controller, healer character, and I'd highly recommend you guys try her out. I'd probably give her an A+ if you know how to use her very well. She is very, very good. And on top of that, she could go invisible, obviously. She has a double jump so that she could just go invisible, get health over time, and go out of the fight if she needs to. So, yeah, I'll give her the first A+ out of all these characters. Next up is Iron Fist. Now, Iron Fist is pretty strong. I haven't used him too much, but he is, of course, a duelist or a DPS. He's very good up and close to your enemies. Like if you not capture, but if you flank behind someone and it's like a lower health character and you get up right up on them and surprise attack them, you're basically gonna get the kill. He's really fast striking attacks and all that kind of good stuff. So yeah, I think he's pretty solid as well. Iron Man, I see he's actually pretty used a lot in games. Yeah, I mean aside from his abilities are okay from what I've seen. But his main ultimate is very, very good. It basically can like one-shot the whole team instantly. It's like this maximum pulse thing that he does, and then it just shoots out and it just basically wipes everyone off the map, as long as you hit them, of course. But for his other abilities, he could fly, of course. He could shoot his things. He's kind of like an aerial guy where he's shooting down on you. Some of these other units are like that as well. So yeah, I think Iron Man is pretty solid. I'd probably give him like a B+, but that's just because of how good his ultimate is. If you have a good Iron Man, though, you guys could be a force to be reckoned with on your team. But next up, we got Jeff the Land Shark. You actually see him used quite a bit. He's another healer, actually. He kind of spits out this water, and it heals your teammates. And then he has his ultimate where he like swims into the ground, and then he's able to like swallow everyone on the enemy team if they're in the vicinity. And then he like drags them around underground while they're still taking damage. So I've had this done a bunch to me where like I just get swallowed by Jeff the Land Shark basically, and then he swims me over to the edge of the map and then chucks me over it, and then we all die. So he's pretty damn good. I'd probably give him like an A tier. So yeah, Jeff the Land Shark is a really good healer and definitely a force to be reckoned with for his ult as well. Next up we got Loki. Loki's pretty solid. You don't see him used too much, but he is pretty good. Probably give him a B+ rating just before I say anything about him, but he is like a kind of a shitty healer, but he can heal your teammates. His main thing is that he puts like these clones of himself out that attack you and deal damage. They kind of just stay put, but then they kind of auto lock on you every now and then and shoot you. And then his ultimate is actually copying someone else's ultimate. So I think he's pretty solid. If you know how to use him, if you're getting more familiar with the game, then maybe give him a try. But I'd say Loki's pretty solid overall. I'll give him a B plus. Luna Snow. Luna Snow is actually pretty damn good. She's another healer. I would say I would probably give her a B plus plus tier, maybe something like that. Maybe an A tier. Why not? Of course, she heals, your teammates with her attacks and stuff like that. I think she also like skates around and goes pretty fast. And then her main ult actually, she becomes like invulnerable, so she doesn't take any damage doing her ultimate, and it lasts like 10-15 seconds. And she basically like sings and dances, and then anyone that's near you, that's on your team, of course, is gonna be healed basically to full, like automatically and continuously. So she's very, very good in that type of situation where you need to just kind of advance as much as possible at that moment for when you use your ult. And she's just a good, really good healer overall. I think I'd give her probably an A on the tier list. Next we got Magic. Now Magic's a very, very interesting character. Some people say she's the most overpowered in the game. I would say that she can be the most overpowered in the game if you have a really, really good Marvel Rivals player on your team. Or if you're just a really good player at the game so far, definitely recommend you guys try her out. She's, of course, a duelist or a DPS. And basically what she does is she goes in and out of these portals constantly and attacks the enemy with her sword. And so you can see how that could kind of be really good. She goes inside the portal if she's low HP, comes back out of it, hits you, goes in it. Rinse and repeats that. And then her ultimate, she gets like this crazy version, crazy form of her. She gets like more health, more damage, I think, with that. And she's able to go like instantly out of portals even faster and shit. So she's pretty damn good. She's kind of one of those characters that, like I said, like you have to be pretty good at the game so far to try to use her. But another thing I'll mention is that all these characters, like, you basically got to spam your abilities and stay near your team. Like, the number one thing I hate is seeing that we lost the site and then we're going, now that we all died, everyone spawns, at different times. And then it's just like, now we're taking 1v6s on the team. It's like, we're just basically feeding them kills. Like, we all have to group up as, the 6 players that we are again, and not just rush into the fight and get singled off, basically. We all got to stay together and push together, and so that's how you win most of the fights here, when you guys got to regroup. But yeah, it's just another thing I wanted to mention. But yeah, Magic is pretty good. I'd probably give her like an A tier, but if you're really, really good with her, I'd probably give her an A plus tier. But yeah, so she's really, really good as well. Next up, we got Magneto. I've actually used Magneto quite a bit. He's very, very solid. He's a tank, actually, and he is kind of like a facilitator, like controller of the mid area, whatever kind of, mode you're doing and stuff like that. And he's just a really good tank, and he provides himself his own shield. He has this little attack that does a little bit more damage when he shoots at his things. He kind of sends out these little, like, explosive, like purple balls, I guess you could say, that do damage in like a little bit of a wider area. So he's kind of like AoE attacks, but they're a little bit slower. And then he also has a an ult that he goes like up in the air. He says "Fear Magneto," and then shoots down this big ball of like plasma energy, or I guess fucking magnets or metal or some shit. And yeah, that attack does a bunch of damage, and it's obviously in quite a wide area. He also provides shields to allies as well. That's another big thing. And so yeah, he's kind of like an all-around really, really good support kind of tank. And I'd highly recommend him, especially if you guys want to like help your teammates a little bit, but also do a decent amount of damage. Yeah, Magneto's great. I'd probably give him like an A tier, honestly. And so next up, we got Mantis. She's another healer. Yeah, she's pretty good. I haven't used her like at all, actually, so I can't really vouch for her too much. I do know that she's a pretty good healer, but she heals in kind of different, certain unique ways. So I don't really know her too well, but yeah, you guys can try her out if you want. So I guess I'll just skip over to her and not give her a rating. But next we got Mr. Fantastic. I have used him a little bit. He is actually pretty good. He's actually listed as a duelist or a DPS, but he has more health than a duelist or a regular duelist would. And he can actually basically go into a tank form during one of his like abilities or ultimates. For his ult, he basically like jumps up and down in the air and slams his like fists in the ground and becomes like a big version of himself. And that ultimate is actually very, very good because it's just so hard to hit him. And if you're in the range of getting hit by his slams, then you might get one shot, especially if you're a lower health character. Um, he also provides shields to his teammates. He has really, really good attacks. His normal attacks are a little bit hard to hit, just because it's like different because he's like making his arms long, and then all of a sudden he's doing this and that. So he's a little bit of a harder character to master, but he is very, very good if you guys know how to use him. He also has this extra form where he kind of makes himself like a wall a little bit, and then he takes no damage in that form. It's only like 5 seconds, but then at the end of it, he shoots like a little ball of like energy or something like that does a bunch of damage. So Mr. Fantastic overall is pretty damn good, especially if you have an invisible woman, because she'll obviously team up with him, and I'll explain that after this. But yeah, Moon Knight. Moon Knight is a duelist DPS. He's pretty solid from what I've seen. A lot of people use him in the game. He's kind of like, I'm going to flank around the team, or I'm going to get a high position on the map and send these things down at you. He has like this Ankh that he put, like a cross thing that he puts down on the ground, and then if an enemy's in it and then you're shooting them in it, it kind of ricochets off that and does a bunch more damage. And then his ult, he kind of brings down all these like Ankhs and crosses and things like that and just does a fuck ton of damage, honestly. So I'd probably give him an A. He's overall a really, really solid duelist. He's a little bit hard to use, I would say, though, so I would stay away from him at the start, but he is pretty good. So yeah. Namor. Namor is pretty solid. My friend was actually trying him out and had a blast with him. He's kind of like Hawkeye, where you have to hit his shots because he throws his spear, and it's not like it's like automatically throwing spear. It's like, I'm throwing a spear now, and I'm throwing a spear now. So if you do hit it, it does a bunch of damage. He also has like these little squid things that he puts down that could like stick to walls and everything like that, and that blast the enemy team and do some damage. So he's kind of like a trapper, duelist, kind of like I'm gonna stay back, but I'm gonna throw my things down and it'll do some damage, and then I'll try to hit you with my spear. I'm not quite sure what his ultimate does, but from what I've seen, he's kind of like an underrated character. I'd say he's like a B plus, maybe even A tier if you're really, really good with him. So yeah, I think Namor is pretty damn good. Penny Parker. Penny Parker is, I guess, going to be our last tank here. Oh, no, we got one more. Oh, no, two more tanks. Okay. Penny Parker is pretty solid. I guess she's like, I don't know. I don't know the lore behind it, but I guess she's like Spider-Man's like sister or some shit. I have no clue. She basically hops inside this mech, obviously, that you guys see, and she's able to put like a bunch of traps down. She's like low-key one of the best tanks if you're really good with her. You basically just have to spam all of her abilities and constantly like recycle them to be very good with her. But she puts these traps down. They explode on the ground. She has like this little thing that shoots out the explosive traps even more, but that thing can be destroyed. She has this kind of web thing that she shoots out that kind of refills very quickly, but it like only stuns them for like 2 seconds. And then her main attack or main guns like shoot these guns back and forth. And then her ultimate, she kind of like becomes very, very strong and runs around and does a bunch of damage if you get close to her. So she kind of pushes the enemies back with that. And overall, I think she's pretty solid. A little bit of a harder character to get used to, but definitely pretty good. I'd probably give her an A tier as well. Next up, we have Psylocke. Psylocke is pretty strong. She's kind of she is a duelist character. Yeah, she's pretty good. She has like these like shuriken kind of things that she slices out. I think she can like gain health with one of them. Don't quote me on that. But yeah, one of them, like all different types of shurikens and stuff like that. She's like a very, very good damage dealer. If you get like a flank around your opponent and 1v1 them, like there's a good chance that you're going to win that 1v1. And now you're behind the enemy team with one less, enemy to deal with. So you have a big advantage if you're able to flank with her. And then her ultimate is very, very good. She kind of like auto aimbots everyone around you as long as you're looking at them, and like slices everyone. It's pretty crazy. It's actually really, really cool looking. But yeah, Psylocke's very, very good. Kind of like Moon Knight. She's a little harder to get used to, but I'd highly recommend her as well. I'd probably give her an A tier. Next we got Rocket Raccoon. He's pretty solid. I wouldn't say he's the best healer in the game, but he's probably one of the worst ones, honestly. But he's still very good, don't get me wrong. He heals his opponents, or not opponents. he heals his teammates by putting these, I think, orbs or something down. And then he has this thing that he also puts down that speeds up some characters how fast they shoot. So say if you use him with Punisher, who we'll see here in a bit, if Rocket Raccoon puts that thing down and then Punisher is there, your Punisher, you're going to be shooting a whole lot faster, and we have infinite ammo. So with certain team ups with Rocket Raccoon can actually be very, very good. But like I said, it's very situational for that. But overall, he's pretty weak, but his gun actually does pretty good damage. It's like a fully automatic kind of Gatling gun thing. So I think he's actually pretty solid, but I'd probably just give him a B plus tier. You have to be pretty good with him. If you are pretty good with him, then maybe an A tier. But yeah, I think Rocket Raccoon's pretty decent. Scarlet Witch. Scarlet Witch is probably the easiest to learn DPS, but also kind of like the strongest one. So a lot of people like, I know I posted some shorts. You guys might know. I posted some Marvel Rivals shorts of me playing with Scarlet Witch, and then the comments were just so funny. But yeah, she's very, very easy to learn. She basically could just like go invisible and get out of the fight. She could do it twice, even though it's like only like 4 seconds long it lasts. And then her main attack, holding down my trigger, is basically like aimbot. Like you still have to look at your opponent, but if you're even in the vicinity like of looking at them, you're gonna deal like a bunch of hit markers. It's like automatic damage basically. So you could wipe out whole teams just pushing with, let's just say Magneto and her, and actually have a team up ability where she gets more damage, I think, and then he gets a whole new a melee attack, which is sick. So they're a great duo, Magneto and Scarlet Witch, and she could just kind of pop off, honestly. She also has like these bigger blast attacks that regen over time that she could fire out that are a little bit more long range than her regular attack, and those have good splash damage. They regen over time, so you won't have like infinite amount of them. Yeah, I think you could shoot 5 all at once. But they take time to regen. So I would say she's very good. You can kind of just go invisible to get out of the fight, go invisible to get into the fight. They're like, oh shit, Scarlet Witch is here. You start doing damage to them. You hit them with everything you got, and then if your teammates are there too, you're gonna basically win the fight. There's a good chance of winning. Obviously, she's not, the best character. She might be, but I think she's very good in the right hands. I'd give her an A plus tier, honestly. She's very, very solid. Probably the easiest to learn DPS, and yeah, just very, very strong with her basic attacks, and also her ult. Her ult's actually not the best in the game, but it kind of is at the same time. Her ultimate, basically, anyone who's near her, she like explodes at the end of it, but like it takes like 6 or 7 seconds. But anyone who's near her is basically just gonna instantly die. But like I said, opponents might be aware of this, but the best chance of you to try to pull it off is go invisible, kind of go over top of the team, and then activate it, and then you slowly drop down on them, and then they might be able to hit you, but probably not enough because they don't even know where the fuck you are. But then you just instantly explode and kill basically all the team instantly. And I've caught a lot of kills by using that, by surprising them all. Oh, but yeah, she's very, very good. I'd probably give her the best. Definitely try her out, kind of thing. But yeah, she is extremely, extremely good. Definitely give her an A plus ranking. Next we got Spider-Man. I haven't used him too much, but I definitely go a bunch against him. A lot of people like to use him. He's like one of the best, if not probably the second best duelist behind Scarlet Witch. At least like easy to learn-ish, and like just good duelist overall for new players. He is kind of, his main role is to like kind of flank behind the enemy team like a lot of these other duelists, and well, some of them have that, but this for Spider-Man it's kind of the main thing. And he like flanks behind the enemy team. He does very, very good close damage. He kind of like sends you up in the air and hits you, and then puts a web on you, so you kind of stunned. And overall, he's very, very good. He obviously has like the web slings, so he slings around. He's very, very aerial and very fast. Of course, he has low health though. He's so evasive and all these things. And then his ultimate is very strong. He basically, anyone who's near him, he fires like 1,000,000 webs out and stuns you and does a bunch of damage. So yeah, I think Spider-Man is definitely an A tier. If you're very, very good with him, maybe even A plus, because it could be a very, very big problem for you. But yeah, Spider-Man is very, very good. Squirrel Girl. Squirrel Girl is actually pretty crazy. Apparently, like she like took out Thanos in the comics. Don't quote me on that, but I don't know. I heard some crazy stuff about her. Never even knew she was a thing before this game. But yeah, Squirrel Girl is a very, very good. She's a little bit harder to learn. Her main attack is kind of hard to hit, but it like bounces off walls. A lot of her stuff is like bouncing off of objects and stuff like that. It's kind of like her main, I guess, like ability. And she'll bounce her regular weapon off the walls. She has like these squirrels that go out. I know her ultimate is like insanely OP, and that's mostly what I get killed by from her. And she sends out her ultimate. It's like a bunch of these squirrels running back and forth. They can hit off any surface. So if you're in like a tight, compact area and you're using Squirrel Girl and you activate that, you might get a lot of kills with that. 'Cause it's very annoying. Like you cannot stay on the ground if that thing's on the ground. They'll just like knock you over and kill you basically. And so yeah, she's very, very good. I'd probably give her an A tier, maybe even A plus if you're very, very good with her. Next up, we got Star Lord. Star Lord's pretty solid. He can kind of fly around. He has a kind of like an aimbot with his gun a little bit, so it's a lot easier to hit your opponents. He has a few moves. I haven't tried him out too much, but he is very solid. I think his ultimate, he kind of like Spider-Man's, where he shoots everyone kind of instantly a little bit. It's a lot easier to hit people with it. And so he's very good. I'd probably give him a B plus tier, and if you really go with him, probably A tier. I would say he's pretty solid overall, though. Next up, we got Storm. Storm's another kind of character like, who did we say before? Storm's a kind of character like, I know who it is now. Yeah, Iron Man. Iron Man and Storm are kind of similar characters where they kind of stay above in the air and kind of shoot down on their opponents. I'm not really sure what her ultimate does. I haven't tried her out too much. But yeah, she's pretty good. She's a lot like Iron Man, so she stays above everyone and kind of just does damage down below. But from what I've seen of her, she's pretty strong. I'd probably give her a B plus tier, maybe A tier. But next up, we got the Punisher. I have used Punisher quite a bit. He's very, very good. If you guys play like a lot of FPS games, you're definitely going to want to try Punisher because it's just going to be a little bit of an easier thing to get into. He has his main assault rifle, which you guys see right there. And then he also actually has a shotgun that you could switch into pretty quickly. And that does a lot of damage, especially if they're close. If they're anything like medium range, though, they really won't do a lot of damage. It kind of just be like a pepper spray. But if they're really close up on you and you headshot them, it's basically like a one-shot headshot. Especially if they're, low health, like some of these other characters and stuff like that. So yeah, he has, an AR, a shotgun. He's got like a zip line that can go to and from pretty quickly every now and then. And then he's also got this like little turret that he places down and he stays put in this little turret. And it can dish out a lot of damage. Like if you get into a nice spot and you're overlooking the site or the escorting the thing and you get into this thing, you can dish out a lot of damage, especially if you have like someone trying to protect you. Yeah, you could stay back there in that turret and do a lot of damage. And then his ultimate is one of the best ultimates in the game, called like Judge, Jury, Executioner. He whips out like these two big ass miniguns, and if you hit all your shots, you're basically gonna shoot everyone down and kill them all. So he is very, very solid overall. I'll probably give him an A tier, and if you're very good with him, maybe even like an A plus tier. So yeah. Thor, haven't used him too much, but Thor is pretty solid. I see a lot of people use him honestly. He throws out his hammer. It does a decent amount of damage. He goes into like this special form for one of his abilities where he just shoots lightning at you, and I think that does even more damage. Of course, he's a tank, so he's gonna already have like increased health. He's very good at pushing the front and kind of try to be a little bit more of an aggressive tank. And then his ultimate, he kind of rises up in the air, and then anyone in the circle below him, which actually the enemies can see, is basically going to be wiped out instantly. So his ultimate is pretty good, but it's more of his abilities and stuff like that that make him even better. So I think Thor's pretty solid if you get very good with his regular abilities and stuff like that and push with your team. I think it can be an A tier. So yeah, I think Thor is pretty good. Next up is Venom. Venom's probably my most used tank now. Probably around, probably more than Hulk now. And yeah, Venom's very, very good. I like Venom a lot. He's kind of like a short to medium range for his regular attacks, but they actually shoot pretty far. I've tested it out. And yeah, his little like I don't even know what you call it. His little like things that shoot out from his back hit pretty far. And if you hit all of them at once, it does a lot of damage. But just like Spider-Man, stuff like that, he can like web swing, and then when you're in the air, you could actually press like X, at least it's for me, and do a diving strike on your opponents. It doesn't do that much damage, but it kind of like messes them up, because if you're constantly web swinging and then doing that and then getting back in the fight as a tank, it could be very, very hard to deal with Venom, especially if he just kind of keeps like leaving the fight and you're not able to kill him. Like that's what I try to do. I try to cycle through all my abilities, web string out of there, dive in, and then I'll use his other ability, which I'll talk about now. He gets basically just like increased health. I think it's like 200 plus health, so it basically gets just more health. So if I were you, I'd activate the more health, fight in there, web sling out of there if you're low health, dive back on them, and use your attacks again, activate the health again, and keep recycling that. He's very, very good, kind of staying in the fight and pushing the front, especially staying in the fight. And you could also crawl up walls too, and you could do dive strikes with that if you're trying to creep around and stuff like that. And yeah, he is very, very, very solid, I would say. I'd probably give him an A tier generally. I don't know about A plus tier. If you're like the best Venom player in the world, maybe he's an A plus tier, but I would say he's very, very solid at this point in the game, and I really enjoy using him. And also his ultimate, he goes under the ground, and then he like swallows everyone who's kind of near you. It doesn't like swallow you like the Jeff Landshark does, where he just kind of takes you to wherever, and really swallows you. He kind of just does a bunch of damage and anyone in that vicinity. So his ult's decently strong too, but overall his abilities are very good. Next we got Winter Soldier. I actually see a decent amount of people use him. He's got like this little pistol, and it does really, really good damage. Like revolver, I should say. And I haven't really used him too much, but his abilities seem pretty damn good. And his ultimate is very, very good. So I think his ultimate, if you hit anyone with your ultimate and you continuously keep hitting people, it actually stays up. So if you're really, really accurate and play a lot of FPS games and stuff like that, I would definitely give him a try. As long as you're hitting your opponents with this guy, you're going to be dishing out a lot of damage. So I think Winter Soldier is very good. I'd probably give him an A tier. Next up, we got Wolverine. Wolverine's pretty solid. Off rip, I'm probably just going to give him a B plus tier. I would say he's really good. Not really good, but like pretty good in the right hands. He gets like more health than most duelists. I think he gets like the same amount of health as Mr. Fantastic, so just a bit more health than your regular duelist. Obviously, he's very, very good up close and personal. He kind of likes to like lunge at your opponent and then hit him a bunch of times, but he can be singled out pretty easily. So it is a little bit harder to use him. I wouldn't recommend you guys use him off rip, just because I think he's one of the worst heroes, unfortunately. Probably going to buff him in the future, but I think overall he's not terrible. And if you could solo off certain characters, then yeah, he's pretty good at that. But yeah, all in all, now that we went through all the characters, yeah, guys, all in all, that's pretty much all the characters and kind of how you would go about them, how you would want to try them out. There's a bunch of team ups here, but the video's kind of getting long. So yeah, a bunch of team ups here that you could do. Basically, like if you team up, like I said before, like Scarlet Witch and Magneto, you get certain abilities that you didn't have before for the characters and just stuff like that. So yeah, those are the team ups. Yeah, I think we covered everything. I'm not going to talk about some of this other stuff. You guys will see the shop here if you just want to buy the skins and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, guys, I hope you guys learned a thing or two about Marvel Rivals. I'm definitely going to post more content about this game pretty soon. Maybe some ranked gameplay, maybe some just, general videos about it. Who knows? But yeah, I'm really enjoying this game. I hope you guys enjoyed this video too. I hope it gave you some insight into the characters, how to claim rewards, and all that kind of good stuff. So yeah, I really appreciate you guys watching this video. And yeah, guys, I'll see you in the next one. Doc out.